2 days ago, whenever that was.
Hamill, Corvette Summer.
I mean, just country music artists that are 100% in front of him. 100% in front of him.
George Strait, Morgan Wallen.
George Strait. Oh, I'm not. I won't even go Morgan Wallen.
Well, Morgan Wallen is.
Okay, yeah. George Strait. You'll put Morgan Wallen on there.
Yeah.
George Jones.
George Jones, close, yes.
Waylon Jennings.
Let me change the question on the fly.
You don't think Waylon Jennings is in front of?
No.
Oh, I don't think so either. I think for the outlaw,
Merle
the
Haggard.
old school country guys.
I mean,
Willie Nelson, would you?
They're all very close, but no.
I would take Willie over him.
Willie over him, but not Waylon.
Let me ask you this. Let me let's go woman on woman here. Let's go Dolly Parton or Serena Williams.
Oh, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, it's still Serena Williams.
Serena doesn't have a theme part.
No, Dolly Parton had a better career than Serena Williams.
Yeah, I think I would say
Dolly
yeah.
Prince money.
It does, yes.
That is our 4 Downs today. The show being brought to you by a couple of great folks. Before LT tells us about Inverness, I want to tell you about walk-ons, where LT goes every night to apparently bump in accidentally to clients.
Hey, have y'all had the sirloin sliders?
There, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my
excellent.
So good.
I get them without the onions.
I got them for the first time because Jack ordered them last week.
Yeah, they're
and
excellent.
So I followed up and I got them with the garlic mashed potatoes. Oh my gosh.
Sirloin po' boy too. It's good there.
It's
Those
really
ribeye sliders are my go-to.
Yeah.
Delicious.
The po' boy is too big. You
it's
get a half of that.
fantastic,
No,
Take the
their
other half
portions
home.
are massive. That's why I do think that the ribeye sliders are so good.
Yeah, that's where every day is game day at our friends at Walk-Ons, whether it's a post-win celebration, drinks after work with friends, or taking the family some from made-from-scratch favorites. Walk-Ons, your go-to for good times with wall-to-wall TVs, craft beer, and cocktails in bold flavors for fans of all ages. From melty mozzarella logs to Hall of Fame level burgers. Stop by today or order online with the Walk-Ons app. Walk-On Sports Bistro, Trustful, Greystone, and Stadium Trace. It's game on with Walk-Ons.
You know, when we talk to you about Inverness Country Club, we don't mention their food and their clubhouse enough.
Fantastic. Great hot dog out there, by the way.
Really, really good food, good bar area, and just a great place. Like if you've got one of these memberships, social membership, take the wife, take friends up there, enjoy drinks, enjoy dinner, and childcare. Also a big plus when you're having drinks and dinner with friends and family. You can drop the kid right there on site. They'll watch them. Massive plus right there. What about if you work from home? What about working from the club while they watch your kid? Whatever your interests are, you can find it at Inverness Country Club. Find your sense of community there. They've got memberships that fit everyone, from the social to the golf. Take a tour of this club today. Call Aaron, 205-991-8608. Tell her the next round sent you. For more information, iccalabama.com.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at Scott Forrester TV.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
This is what being a NASCAR fan is all about. Singular history and tradition.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
And triple header playoffs action to ratchet up the stakes. Throw in a can't miss concert, and you've got more than a race. You've got Talladega. NASCAR Playoffs Weekend at Talladega, October 17th through the 19th. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Ticketmaster, the official ticketing partner of NASCAR.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new chicken and bowberry waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try chicken and bowberry waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Honey, a while back, life knocked me flat on my behind. I was hit by an 18-wheeler, and Lord of mercy, it left me hurting. Now, I heard through the grapevine that Alexander Shannara had recovered big money for some people. You been hurt? Can't work? Don't sit there suffering. Call my people at Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys. Ain't gonna cost you a dime, so pick up the phone and dial 659-777-7777 or go to Shannara.com, because when I called, Alexander Shannara answered.
Call me, Alabama.
No representation made that the legal services provided are better than legal services provided by other attorneys.
My Bookie brings us Monday Morning Live, and we're back again. Heading to week 6 of the college football season, ESPN's Tom Luginbill joins me now. We'll get to Auburn's lack of offense in just a second and LSU's lack of offense in just a second, and those teams that play good offense but have no defense. But let's start with Alabama re-entering the chat of the college football playoffs with a road win at Georgia, 24-21. And Lugs, let me just start by asking you, I know you're a former quarterback and coach. You've got to love good play calling. I thought Ryan Grubb's game plan and play calling from that offensive staff was amazing in this game.
Well, one of the things that I love, and Jim, excuse my voice, I apologize. I actually got to go see my son play college football for the first time ever this weekend, and rarely am I in the stands to be a fan.
Right.
And so I didn't realize what that would do to my voice.
Right.
But I'm not apologizing, but I'm just letting you know that's the reason why I'm going to do my best this morning.
Well, I apologize for my voice. I was in Athens as well, and I got too much Alabama in me. No, I'm kidding. I'm good.
I hear you. All right, so we're all fair game. One of the things that I loved about Alabama's offensive approach is the amount of time that they are devoting to under center quarterback play.
Yes.
And, we have become such a shotgun-oriented offensive game over the last 15 to 20 years, and that's fine. But what they've done with the under-the-center game is they have really put pressure on defenses to have to commit to defending the run. So, for example, if I'm the quarterback and I'm under center, and I'm the running back and I'm 7.5 yards deep with my heels, and running backs in the run game, they have landmarks, okay? So the outside zone, they may have a landmark of the outside hip of the tackle, okay? Let's just say that hypothetically. And it is the running back's job to get to that outside hip. He is not responsible for the quarterback getting in the ball. The quarterback has to get out of center, and he's got to stretch and run and get that ball to the aiming point of the running back. Well, when that's all coming down at you, and you're seeing that quarterback strain to get out there, and that running back's coming downhill. And then all of a sudden, a quarterback pulls that ball and flips around either in a naked or a bootleg look, or coming and doing the half bootleg and setting up behind the opposite guard. You have no choice defensively but to commit to that. And so now what's happened is you've created so much space at the intermediate levels of the defense. And look at where a lot of the throws that Ty Simpson is making are located. They're in that 8 to 18 yard range, somewhere between the numbers, because they've sucked up so much to commit to that run. And I think that wrinkle of going from shotgun to under center, it's opened up the run game. It's created play action pass space to throw the ball in. And then we can say all we want about Ryan Grubb, but when you have a quarterback that is virtually unrushable, right now Ty Simpson is unrushable. I don't know if you heard Kirby's comments after the game about, hey, there were times where we had a free rusher, sometimes 2 free rushers, and we couldn't touch him. The ball's out, right? When you have that and you have timing and rhythm and anticipation, it's one of the reasons why most people nowadays, and I subscribe to this too, the sack number stat is not an offensive line stat. It's a quarterback stat.
Okay.
More often than not. And Ty Simpson is the reason why you can't rush Alabama, because the ball's out of his hands so damn quick.
Yeah, I will say this. I asked Kalen DeBoer after the game in the post-game news conference. There was nothing glamorous or sexy about first down and getting 2 yards and setting up a 2nd and 8, or first down and setting up a 2nd and 7. But stacking those the way they did and staying committed to that all night long, like you just described perfectly, set up what they wanted to do offensively. They had just enough of that run game and the way they schemed it up, the way you were talking, that kept that offensive plan moving all night long, I thought. Those 2-yard runs from Jam Miller were huge.
Well, and you just keep pressing and you keep pressing and you keep chipping away, and you're able to do that stuff if you're not behind the chains all the time, right? I mean, if you're able to just constantly stay ahead little by little. Now, I want to bring up 2 things. Number one, I think Caden Proctor played the best game he's ever played in an Alabama uniform. Yes. And I don't even think it's close. And I'm not just talking about pass protection. I'm talking about the run game. That's number one. Number two, how about the stones on Ryan Grubb? Less than a minute to go in the second quarter. You are approaching the high red zone, and you decide to throw the football to your offensive tackle. Okay. So there's a lot of, I'm sure you've heard the old saying that, when you throw the football, three things can happen and two of them are bad. Okay.
Yep.
So when you throw that ball to him, there's a decent likelihood he's going to drop it. At worst, he drops it and it somehow ends up being a lateral. Okay. Instead, they throw it out there. He catches it like he's Antonio Gates. The skill guys for Alabama got everybody blocked up on the perimeter, and there's only about 5 yards between the inside blocker and Caden Proctor and the sideline. I mean, it is a narrow path. And they take that ball down to the 1 yard line. Can you imagine the vitriol towards Ryan Grubb if that ball's incomplete or goes for 0 yards?
Yes.
In that moment, red area, less than a minute left in the second quarter. You got to give him credit for coaching aggressively. I sat there and watched that. I was like, oh my God, it was number one. It was spectacular. But can you imagine the reverse of that?
Yeah. It ends up, it's an 11-yard rush because it was a lateral. So it's a live ball, and Ty threw it out there low. And the big guy with taped hands and soft hands of a 359-pound tackle grabs it off the turf. And makes a great play because it's a fumble. If he doesn't handle it, it's a fumble. It's a live ball. It's crazy. It was a huge play in that contest. Can I ask about Alabama's receiving core? Think about this as I tell everybody first about our friends at mybookie.ag. It's celebration season, man. We're approaching the midway point of the college football year. The NFL's cooking now, and you can jump in with our friends at mybookie.ag. Use our promo code NEXTROUND, and you get up to $500 on your bet back bonus. On your first bet, if you lose that first bet, up to $500, they throw it right back at your account. You reload it, and you go. So no stress on that first time bet. Up to $500 when you use our promo code NEXTROUND. Help us out. Go sign up today at mybookie.ag and have a little fun with a sports book there. Also a little casino fun. Next round's the promo code mybookie.ag. Ryan Williams had the big drop early on, but hats off to Alabama on that drive to come back and finish the deal with a touchdown. It didn't let them derail the whole drive. He didn't block great either. He was at times he did not look like a willing blocker. But meanwhile, Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton were blocking. They were catching the ball. Where are you on Bama's receivers right now?
I'm really high on them as a group because if Ryan Williams disappears for a little bit, they're not dead in the water, right? And I even think 17 is going to continue to work his way in there along with Horton and Bernard. But what it's done is I think it has given confidence to Ty Simpson that he can go to anybody and feel comfortable. And to give Ryan Williams some credit, he made a catch on 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter and got popped. I got hammered, and it was an important catch. So give him credit there. But I just think they've got it's interesting. They have all shapes and sizes for every available situation, right? You got the big physical guy over the middle or in contested one in Isaiah Horton. You got Jeremy Bernard that's just a route runner and creates separation so Ty Simpson can throw him open. You got Ryan Williams, who when he has the ball in his hands after the catch and his obviously supreme route running, there's just a lot there that is attractive because they can create mismatches depending upon the situation. And so, but again, I go back to their ability to create advantageous play matchups. That's the thing to me that's different this year than from last year. And I think a lot of it, again, I go back to some of the under center stuff. It's creating open wide receivers.
Yeah, and so to take all of our three big subjects there to start with, you had the play calling, the way Ty is doing everything in that receiving core. That's how you end up 13 of 19 on third down conversions on the road in Athens, 33-game home win streak against a Kirby Smart defense, 13 of 19 on third down conversions. That was the most. I think it was 8 of 8 or 9 of 9 to start the game, and that set the tone for the whole evening. That was an amazing stat. I don't remember ever seeing that in that type of situation.
Alabama was 7 for 7 in the first quarter on third down. That was just the first quarter.
Yep.
And about 3 or 4 minutes into the second quarter, Georgia only had 7 offensive plays.
Right.
It's hard to score when you're not on the field, right? I mean, and we always talk about and we over accentuate how important third down is. Well, if you need any further evidence, there it is. You know, football is a game about the ball. Do I have it or do you have it? And that's why third down is so important, and getting off the field on third down is so important, because then what it also does is it leads to field position. It's a trickle-down effect. And so just an unbelievable level of efficiency and execution from Alabama to be able to do that, maintain possession of the ball, was freakish.
Yeah, I would say this. Rusty and a couple of people asking, Ty Simpson's got to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation now. Dante Moore's your betting favorite this morning at mybookie.ag, 13-2 after their road win, Oregon at Penn State. Ty Simpson, the second betting favorite right now at mybookie.ag, 15-2, just ahead of Carson Beck in the Heisman Trophy conversation. For those in the chat asking that question, can they handle success? We'll talk about Vandy in Alabama and College Game Day coming to Tuscaloosa coming up a little bit later on. But back to the Alabama-Georgia game for just a second, because Kirby made a decision. In this game, I want to get the time right. I think it was 13:25 to go in the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 1. It's 24-21 the way the score ended up. And he chooses, it's 4th and 1, which, you know, it's makeable for just about anybody, it seems like. At the 8-yard line, 13:25 to go, he passes on a game-tying field goal, and maybe not as much as the decision as they choose to go Cash Jones, and he was going horizontally, going wide. And LT Overton made the play, and they only got one more possession in the fourth quarter. That was a huge decision. I know hindsight's 50-50, according to Pat Dye, but hey, that's a for a guy who was around Nick Saban, play it by the book, take the points, and play defense. That was a unique decision by Kirby Smart that he has to be regretting today.
Yeah, I think he is. And I think a lot of us looked at that and said, hey, with the amount of time on the clock, it would have been one thing if that decision's made with, 4:30, all right, or something to that nature. And now, the possessions may be limited. But in that moment, you got to kick the field goal, and LT Overton made a great play. I mean, the way he split that was unbelievable. And let's not forget, Cash Jones narrowly trips up.
That's right.
It could have been. But yeah, I think you got to kick that field goal. Again, those are those game time, game management decisions that have to be made in the blink of an eye. So quickly. With limited time, and then you're going to have to think about it after the fact. But, you feel good. You've had some nice run stuff, right? You've been able to line up and run the ball effectively. And so I can see the mentality, but with that much time on the clock, it just seemed a bit odd.
Yeah, Bowers averaged 9.9 yards a carry. So I'll ask you about Alabama's run defense. Here comes Vandy with Diego Pavia and the way they like to run, all the eye candy and everything. And I thought Alabama had some run gap issues last year in Nashville against them. And occasionally, the other night, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Alabama has a hard time setting the edges in the run game. There you go. Is that not right?
So it wasn't a tackling issue. That's not what's happening with Alabama right now. It's leverage and setting the edge and making sure that your run fits are sound and fundamental. And right now I will say this. A few of those runs were completely just that led to big gainers. But it wasn't like Georgia was just lining up at will and doing whatever they wanted in the run game all the time. That wasn't what was happening. It was the play here, the play there that created big explosives on the ground. Not necessarily because Alabama got physically whipped, but for whatever reason, they are either out of gap or they're wrong arming it at its point of attack. I thought, and again, I'm going back to the coach's tape here last night, number 11 for Alabama. He gets double teamed on a run and literally retreats backwards before he ever makes contact. Like, you can't do that. And then I also noticed he disappeared from the game for a little while, as in sat on the sideline. So, there were issues that came up. I will say this, though. The positive flip side to that is I thought Alabama was outstanding in the secondary. There were not a lot of windows for Gunnar Stockton to throw the football into. He had to fit some balls into some very, very tight spots. And so credit there. But you're right. Listen, it wasn't as fundamentally sound as Alabama needs it to be. And when you talk about Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's going to be a little bit more exotic on offense. And the quarterback, you're going to have to contend with his legs. So that changes everything. And we saw that last year, right? I mean, that created all kinds of issues. The pre-snap window dressing, the shifts, the motions, the movements. And oh, by the way, the quarterback could have the ball on every snap.
Yeah, and I was surprised that Georgia didn't do that a little bit more with Gunnar Stockton. He had one big run in the game, and I thought they would lean on that a little bit more, but Mike Bobo chose not to do that. Before we move off Georgia, move to the Auburn game and the rest of the action in the SEC and around the country, I want to ask you, where are you on this Georgia team moving forward? I mean, a lot of people will overreact now and say that team's not a playoff team now. They got more losses coming. They have that road win at Tennessee that very easily could have been a loss with a field goal if it hadn't have been missed, but they still scored a lot of points in that game. Where are you with Georgia right now as a playoff contender and SEC contender the rest of the year?
Listen, I thought they were efficient enough and good enough on offense to win the game. I felt like they did enough, all right? They just couldn't handle Alabama's quarterback on defense. Now, when somebody asks the question, you ask the question, where are they from a playoff standpoint? Well, that's all relative to who else we think is on their level, either talent-wise or execution-wise. And if you look across the landscape of college football, do you believe that there are 11 teams better than Georgia? Do you believe that there are 12 or 13 teams better than Georgia? I don't know if I'm convinced of that yet. They played an Alabama team right now that is playing lights out. They're hot as can be. The quarterback has been a difference maker. I think, do they have things to clean
I'll
up?
tell you this on that subject. I'll tell you this. For the first time in my life, I look across college football, and I'll throw Ohio State in here at the top. To me, there's about 20 teams that look about the same to me. I mean, they've all got flaws, and I'm not convinced Ohio State could beat anybody in the country on a given Saturday. And I think you can go all the way down almost through the whole top 25.
Well, Jim, to further that point, and for our listeners and viewers here, go look at this past weekend and look at how many games ended up in a one-possession outcome.
Yeah.
Almost across the board. Look at the big ones. Oregon, Penn State, Florida State, Virginia, right? We could run up and down. Auburn and Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama. What's happened? The transactional nature of the sport has dispersed the talent to the point where teams' rosters have evened out. So now what it comes down to is who's got the quarterback that can win the game for you late in a one-possession game. And we're going to see it every single week going forward. And that's why you could have some really good football teams that fall on the losing end of that are good enough to play in a college football playoff, but lost a one-possession game to so-and-so. And then that team that beat them could go lose a one-possession game to somebody else. Because I think that's what we're going to see week in and week out in the sport.
Yeah, and just getting surprising quarterback play. I mean, Ty Simpson was a five-star guy. He just waited his turn. But I looked this up. Mateer was not even a top 100 quarterback in his recruiting class in 2022. You look at, we all know the Chambliss story. He's a D2 national champion, Division II.
Yeah.
I'm right about this. Aguilar, I know Aguilar was at a lot of bad places. Did he start at JUCO?
Yeah, he was a junior college guy and then went to App, and then obviously we know where he's at right now. But yeah, he's a California kid in the JUCO ranks.
Yeah, and then Pavia we know is a JUCO guy. Yep. I mean, those are four of the better guys in the SEC.
Well,
and they were D2 JUCO and not in the top 100 of their class.
And it's such further evidence and I always go back to the numbers because the number is so big in each and every class, roughly 2,800 or so kids out of the high school ranks. Now that number's gone down over the last 5 years because of the transfer portal naturally and scholarships then going to portal guys. But you're talking about roughly 25 to 2,800 kids in every single class coming out that will get an FBS scholarship in each given cycle. Well, think about the remainder of those kids that don't get an FBS one. Well, not everybody develops at the same rate. Not everybody is college ready. Not everybody's that guy that's going to be Bryce Underwood right out of the gate or Matt Stafford right out of the gate. Some of these guys might be an inch too short, a half a step too slow, 30 pounds too light, and then all of a sudden you get them into a program, you redshirt them, they develop, and they become an entirely different player. But their maturity rate was different than other kids. And it happens across the country. Actually, credit Lane Kiffin because you talk about evaluating now.
Yes.
I mean, that's not somebody that you just look into the portal and say, and you would 99% of people would just bypass his name just because of where he was at, right?
Yep.
I mean, they had to dig on that one. They deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah, and coaching him up and having the guts to replace Austin Simmons. The injury helped, but they stuck with him. And Ole Miss got a big win over the weekend over LSU. We'll get to that game, but let's go to Auburn and A&M after I remind you, our friends at MyBookie, with our promo code next round, you can get the bet back bonus. No stress, just a one-time rollover on the return bet. So you're free to reload and keep firing up to $500 a bet back bonus if you use our promo code right there next round and put those together. MyBookie.ag is where you go. You can get all the details there and claim your bet back bonus. But also, they've got the parlays you can play there. You can do some futures. You can go into the casino and do some casino games. It's all right there. MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag. Before we jump knee deep in all the Auburn stuff, I just want to ask you about Texas A&M because every playoff model they're in, where are they in the AP poll that came out? Texas A&M is number 6 in the country. How good is Texas A&M? We've seen them win a shootout game on the road at South Bend, bye week, and now they win a slugfest at home against Auburn. Are you impressed with what the Aggies are doing? They've won 2 different ways in the last 2 wins.
Yeah. The question is, how good could they be if they'd stop committing penalties?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that is uber talented that finds ways to set themselves back and then finds ways to overcome it, right? And so I think they're very talented. I think they've got front people on defense. They're loaded at the running back position. Marcel Reed, he takes some risks, and there's going to be some negatives there, but there's also going to be a lot of positives. I think when you can run the football, you can consistently stop the run. You can consistently rush the passer. They haven't been a huge turnover team. Those are all positives as they continue to go. And they've played a pretty good schedule too. So I'm impressed with them. I think they're a pretty good football team. And the other day, at the end of the day, they made less errors than Auburn and were able to run the football.
Yeah, so A&M is one of those contenders for a playoff spot in the SEC. Auburn has started 0-2 again under Hugh Freeze. And I say it on our show all the time. My closest friends are Auburn grads, Auburn season ticket holders, the guys I play golf with. And so I'm on the golf course yesterday, and to quote one of them, I can't use it word for word, but so it's not a quote, paraphrasing. There are other words in between these words. I hate his high school offense, the scheme. Now, that's an easy go-to phrase. You know X's and O's. Hugh Freeze's offensive scheme. What is it? Why is it not working? And I'll throw this in there. How can this great wide receiver room not exploit people? So take it away, Luke. Solve Auburn's offensive problems for me.
So it's not a high school offense. It's born of the same mind and the same concepts that Gus Malzahn has been using for his entire career. Chad Morris, Tony Elliott. It's prevalent across college football. Has had various levels of success, mostly in the high rate capacity. But I don't care what offensive scheme you run, and I don't really care what level of player you have. If you continue to commit penalties at the rate that they commit them, you are constantly playing from behind. You are constantly out of sync. You are constantly out of rhythm. You're never ahead of the chains, right? and everybody wants to complain about, they're not running the football effectively, and think, well, it's hard to run the football when you're in 3rd and 11 all the time. And oftentimes you're in 3rd and 11 because you committed a pre-snap penalty on 1st down, which now puts you at 1 and 15. And let's just say then, or 1st and 15, I don't know, let's say you decide to run it there, you run a draw, this and that, you get 3 yards. Okay, well, now you're 2nd and 12. All right, well, now, okay, you throw an incomplete pass, you're 3rd and 12. They are 2 steps back, 1 step forward all the time. And it's not just the pre-snap penalty, Jim. I watched them against Texas A&M this last week. They'd have a nice little crease on a run game, gain 7-8 yards on the ground, live penalty, right? It's not just the pre-snap stuff. Then their 2 SEC games, they are 3 for 28 on 3rd down.
Oh,
3 for 28. That's an execution problem. That's not a scheme problem. That's playing smart football versus dumb football. This isn't a smart football team right now on offense.
yeah.
And the offensive line has not performed to the standard, particularly the left tackle position. I don't know how much money they're paying that guy, but he either needs to be sat down or relocated to the inside, because right now that's not effective enough. And so everybody wants to place blame here or there, this and that. There's about 5 or 6 different areas that are contributing to this. It's not all one thing. And it's very frustrating to watch. I get that. Because you're right, their wideouts are really good, really talented. But wouldn't it be neat to see an offensive team have 2nd and 6 routinely, have 2nd and 2 routinely, not have a pre-snap penalty every 3rd play, not have a live penalty on a big 12-yard gain? I mean, it just starts snowballing on you. But I don't think it's a scheme thing. That scheme has been tried and true in college football. But it's hard enough to beat other people when you can consistently self-inflict wounds. It's at an alarming rate.
5 more sacks this week, so 15 in 2 weeks for that. And you said earlier, a lot of those, you believe a sack can be on the quarterback. You were saying how Ty Simpson, even with naked rushers, was able to get rid of the football and avoid the sacks.
Well,
so what's happening with Jackson here?
Yeah, and on that note, okay, well, why are the sacks and the pressures up? Because you're constantly in 2nd and 3rd and long, and everybody in the stadium, including the popcorn vendor, knows what you're going to do. So then what do you think defenses are going to do? They're going to heat you up. They're going to come after you because they know you can't run the ball because you're now out of sync and you're behind the chains. So that just leads to more pressure, more sacks, more busts in pass protection, because you become so predictable because of your lack of efficiency on 1st and 2nd down due to penalties.
Tom Luginbill, ESPN, for a couple of more moments here as we roll on this Monday Morning Live, brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag. DJ Durkin, man, his defense. I feel like they deserved better. I know they got that Texas A&M had a lot of yards, but they didn't get a lot out of those yards.
Yeah.
And you got guys like Xavier Atkins, who had that 73-yard interception that set up the only touchdown.
Yeah.
How good is Auburn's defense, and what's left on the bone for this Auburn team with the bye this week, and then here comes Georgia at Jordan-Hare? I guess it feels different if they beat Georgia. You feel like you can win the rest of them at that point. But
right. I think that the defense has the potential to be elite over time. But when you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And they heat people up. And sometimes when you do that and somebody calls the right call on you, you're going to get gashed. And that happened to them a few times. But they also have so many different ways of creating havoc. And when you look at them, so many of their best players are their youngest players. And they play with great passion, great energy, great effort, super disruptive, run to the football. I'm really impressed with that group. But when you play with that much aggressiveness, when you decide to come after people, there is a high risk, high reward element to that. And that's fine, because I think that's their identity, and you got to play to your identity. But you got to start. I mean, they only allowed 16 points, Jim. I mean, you're on the road, you allow 16 points, and those guys on the other side are on scholarship too. And I think that over the course of time, is it sustainable to be on the field that much? I don't know. Can that wear on you? Are you going to get fatigued? how strong is your depth top to bottom to be able to withstand that? I mean, those are valid questions. But right now, I think they're really good on defense.
Tom Luginbill is with us. We bounce around to the rest of the SEC and the country as long as his voice holds up here after cheering his son on over the weekend. Lugs, Ole Miss beats LSU 24-19. Ole Miss is number 4 in the new AP poll. Probably will be number 1 in our SEC power ratings that Brooks will send out later today. I put them there only because I didn't want to jump Alabama all the way back to number 1. I didn't feel like putting Missouri. I don't know who the best team in the SEC is right now. There's a lot of good, not a lot of great. But Ole Miss, they had another marquee win. What is Ole Miss for you right now? Are they the best team in the SEC?
I think that they have some of the best components in the SEC. I think they've got a long way to go in the defensive secondary, and they made a big jump this last week versus LSU. Thought they played their best game on the back end. But here's what they can do. There is so much speed on the field that you have to contend with. And as much as we all loved Austin Simmons coming into this season, Trinidad Chambliss can do something Austin Simmons can't do, and that's get out of trouble.
Yes.
And say what you want. When you can get out of trouble, you avoid negative plays. And when you avoid negative plays, you stay out of second and third and long. And all of that stuff starts to roll forward, and it gains momentum because the quarterback is a constant strain on the defense. I've been so impressed with that kid's ability to handle moments. Because remember, when that game started for about the first quarter and a half, it was kind of, they're trading punches, and Ole Miss was kind of struggling to find any type of rhythm, and they were a little off sync. And that kid just kept hanging in there, never panicked, never started looking down at the rush. He didn't start pressing and throw the ball up and put it in harm's way. The level of maturity that requires against an LSU defense that is vastly improved over the one they had a year ago. So do I think they're amongst the top 1, 2, or 3 teams in the league? Yeah, I probably do. And I'm curious to see the remainder of the way who's out there on the schedule that could really pressure them in the passing game.
Yeah.
Like could really, really strain them downfield. I think that's the question that remains from a consistency standpoint on the defensive back end for Ole Miss.
Yeah, they'll be favored in all their games except maybe at Georgia and at Oklahoma. And I don't know if that rises to the level you were talking about. And back to the Chambliss point. I mean, D2 national champions. But he's in this atmosphere on national TV, and LSU has scored in the fourth quarter. It's a one-possession game, and Ole Miss has got the ball. And to your point, one turnover there, or you don't get any points, and they've got the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead, and they go on an 11-play drive that includes a fourth down conversion on that.
Yep.
I mean, that's a baller mentality. So hats off to Chambliss there. On the flip side of that, for LSU, my preseason national champions, Nussmeier hasn't passed forget 300 yards passing. He hasn't gone over 275 yards passing yet this season. What's not clicking there for their offense?
So it's a multitude of things. Number one, they're having a lot of the same problems in the offensive line that Auburn's having, right? They've got 2 true freshmen on the right side. The left tackle, who replaced a first rounder, is struggling to come around as quickly as they'd like him to. They have not had the full complement of their top tier running backs on the field at one time the entire season, right? And quite honestly, and I don't know, because I don't want to speculate here and be completely off base, but I do know a lot of the talk in the chatter about Garrett Nussmeier and him being tweaked or injured and having some sort of torso oblique midsection area issue. Well, if there's any truth to that at all, because when I watch him, when you're playing the position, to play the position effectively and accurately, you got to become what's called a rotational passer.
Right.
That comes from your hips and your torso. If you have any type of infringement there, you're not going to effectively be able to get the juice, the power, the velocity on the ball, and you're going to be limited in your ability to follow through. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, if you've watched him over the course of his career, he is a grip it and rip it riverboat gambler. I mean, it's all over the place, right? Effortless. It looks so hard for him right now to be able to control the ball. I don't know if you recall, he threw the deep ball downfield. It was either the first or the second quarter, and it was a horribly thrown ball. Yep. The guy comes back and makes the play, catches the ball. But if you go back, and I rewound it, you go back and you look at how the ball came off of his hand, there was no oomph. There was no power. There's something wrong there that is impacting his ability to just play freely, in my opinion. I think he's playing a bit guarded. I think he's worried if he cuts it loose that maybe something's not going to happen right for him. So, again, it's all speculation. I just know there's been a lot of chatter out there about where he's at in regards to that, but it does look like it's having an impact. So you don't have a healthy run game. You're struggling to come up with an offensive line to gel quickly, and the quarterback's not himself. He's just not that gunslinger that we love to see out of Garrett Nussmeier.
Tennessee and Mississippi State played a really great 41-34 game. Tennessee down 7 fourth quarter, and Aguilar puts together the 75-yard drive, including a fourth down conversion. There were a lot of fourth down clutch conversions over the weekend and for some winning teams. Tennessee, I still think is good. They should be 5-0. I leave thinking Mississippi State is a good football team, even after a loss. Yep. Jeff Lebby, what he's done there in a short period of time is pretty darn amazing. I don't know what's left for Mississippi State. I think Tennessee's a playoff team.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the quarterback is a clear upgrade over 2024, period. End of discussion. That's it.
Yes.
And again, to my point earlier, another one possession game.
Right.
This is what it's going to take. And the quarterback position has to be the difference. You just mentioned the one possession game with LSU and Ole Miss and an 11-play drive from Ole Miss. Okay. That's what you're going to have. Who can do that every week? And I think that Tennessee is going to continue to grow. You're right about Mississippi State, which leads me to something that I don't think anybody's ever said ever. How high is the floor in the SEC this year if Vanderbilt's not the floor?
Right. No. I mean.
Right. So Kentucky right now is the floor.
That's right.
I would assume that we would probably all agree on that to some point. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Oklahoma going forward because of that devastating injury to John Mateer, which is just, those poor guys, holy smokes.
Yeah.
You had it rolling.
But he is, with great hand surgery, they're expecting him back for the Red River. So,
well, if that happens, they're going to need it, man, because, they haven't even gotten into their road slate yet, Jim. That's what's going to be crazy about them. But, yeah, I look at the top to bottom of the conference and, when Vandy's not your floor and Mississippi State looks really improved. Remember, they lost Mario Craver to Texas A&M, right? The Blake Shapen was injured last year. He ends up coming back. He's been able to stay healthy. There were 5 turnovers in that game between Tennessee and Mississippi State, so a little too sloppy for my taste. But I do agree with you. Every time you take the field right now in this conference, there's no W's marked in ink.
Yeah, there's not. There's not. And it's almost that way in college football. Our last run here on Monday Morning Live, brought to you by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Oregon gets the big, other than Bama, Georgia, maybe it was the biggest one in the country. Oregon beating Penn State in an overtime game. Oregon had the lead. Penn State down 14 in the fourth quarter. And they rally, and a lot of that was Drew Aller playing really good football in their rally just to get it to overtime. Yeah. And then they led in overtime. And Aller did so much right until that last pass.
Yeah, and it's you feel for the kid. And I'm a little bit familiar with it just because I had both of their playoff games in person on the field, up close and personal. And, the critical moments that require accuracy and not putting the ball in harm's way continue to plague Drew Aller. And it's really unfortunate because all of the discussion about his talent is legitimate, but the streakiness of decision-making and accuracy and footwork has plagued him in every big moment to this point of his career. But I'll say this, that quarterback at Oregon is a handful.
Yeah, Dante Moore, man, he can get it done right now.
Holy smokes. And he's barely played any football, Jim. I mean, they are going to be a problem for everybody they play, unless they were to get injured or get banged up. And again, another great one-possession game. I'm going to keep harping on that theme because if you're a college football fan, you better hope you got a quarterback that can win you one.
Yep. One-possession games, to your point, on the national scene. Arizona State beat TCU by 3. Virginia in overtime over Florida State. You bounce around the country. Indiana, Iowa was a one-possession game. Ended up being even closer thanks to Fernando Mendoza gambling bad beat. Georgia Tech, Wake Forest.
He's a top 5 pick, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he really is. Ohio State, Washington. That game, Julian Sayin did what he had to do in a rough environment. But Matt Patricia's defense,
balling.
6 points. Washington was inside the red zone 3 times and got 2 field goals. And that's the difference right now with Ohio State. Their defense against Texas and Washington and against the nobodies. I don't know how good that offense, which is usually great at Ohio State, I don't know how good that offense has to be with the way Matt Patricia's team's playing on defense.
And it's allowing the young quarterback to grow up and develop and mature without having to feel like he's got to carry the whole thing. I mean, when you're young, that's the thing that, not to go back to Alabama, but I look at Ty Simpson right now as a better athlete version of Carson Beck 3 years ago, where a guy waited his turn, he matured, he developed, he got older, he grew, could have left, didn't leave, finally wins the job, and now all of a sudden it should not be all that surprising that he's playing the way that he's playing, right? You look at a Julian Sayin or an Arch Manning, and that's what makes Dante Moore right now so incredibly impressive. These are guys that have barely been in college for a couple of years, right? And so it's harder on them. It is more difficult. And for Ohio State to be able to play defense that way while they put together the pieces on offense without overloading the quarterback, I think that gives the Buckeyes some advantages.
Okay, 2 quick previews because we won't get a chance to talk to you before the games, most likely. It doesn't sound like you'll be talking to anybody before the games. But
I know, I got TV all week.
I know, you got to rest that voice. Drink a little bourbon for breakfast. Florida State, Miami. I know Florida State lost in overtime to Virginia, but a big game this week in prime time in the ACC, Florida State and Miami. Miami looks the part, number 3 in the country. Florida State drops down to number 18 after the loss. How come I feel like Florida State's got a good chance of pulling the upset here?
They're still a pretty good football team, and I don't think people have given Virginia their due in terms of how much they're improved under Tony Elliott. They made unbelievable choices in the transfer portal, starting with quarterback Chandler Morris, and it just turned into a track meet. And again, another one-possession game, and it was a tough one for Florida State. But the reason why I think outside of the Notre Dame game, this is the first time Miami's going to play somebody where athletically there's going to have to be some chess matches. There's going to have to be some Gus Malzahn magic. There's going to have to be some Shannon Dawson magic, because from an equity standpoint of talent across the board, this will come down to the little details. And when you're playing at home, little details with a crowd behind you, I think are really, really important. Now, Florida State does not have to defend a dynamic quarterback. Miami does. And Miami has the front people and the front 7 people to really create some issues. It's going to be interesting to see how Tommy Castellanos responds this week and how he answers the bell, because clearly Miami's a much better football team than Virginia is on defense. But there were some times Virginia put Florida State in a bit of a bind, and Florida State didn't always respond well. And now you're going to play an uptick in talent. I think it's going to be a great football game. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Florida State were to win that game at home, but I will be surprised if it's any sort of a blowout either way. I think we're going to have a fourth quarter game.
Yep. And then in the afternoon, And again, to the point of the changing landscape, College Game Day looks around the country and they say Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Vandy, Alabama, because unbeaten Vandy playing one-loss Alabama, and you've got a lot on the line. And Diego Pavia, by the way, could become the first quarterback to beat Alabama in back-to-back years since pre-Saban. So that's before 2007.
He's also beaten Auburn.
Yeah, so we'll see if Pavia can pull that miracle. What does Vandy do that could cause Alabama some issues this weekend? And this will be our final thought.
Misdirection on offense. I think that with how athletic Alabama is on defense and what we saw with some of their leverage issues, some of their run fits and technical issues along the front versus Georgia, when you're seeing a little bit more of a traditional approach, this is going to be anything but traditional. I think the eye discipline and the fundamental side of it for Alabama this week will be the biggest determining factor on how they give up yards. Are they going to make Vandy earn it, or are they going to catch themselves in a position where they find themselves out of a gap, not where they're supposed to be, in the misdirection and all the different things that Vandy's going to have, create some real issues that lead to explosive offensive plays. I mean, I think it boils down to that. This is going to be, I think, a good football game. And for game day to go there, the Vanderbilt story is awesome, right? I mean, it really is. Like, if you're somebody in need of a head football coach and you're not calling Clark Lee, I mean, give me a break. I mean, holy smokes. Yeah. What they've done has been unbelievable.
Yeah. Brown always points out on our show, and maybe Lance too, somebody to the right of me over here during the week always points out that if Clark Lee had just stayed at Notre Dame instead of taking the job at his alma mater, when Brian left, it would have been Clark Lee, not Marcus Freeman, that would have gotten that job. And who knows what Notre Dame would look like. Freeman has done a tremendous job. Our buddy Cole Kublik I think he has a hat that says "Run the damn ball." Yeah. I want to get one that says "Set the damn edge." That's I don't care about running the football anymore. It's a new era. I want "Set the damn edge" on defense. That's the hat I want.
Set the damn edge.
Set the damn edge. All right, that's Monday Morning Live. Thanks for struggling through it. Brown was in the bullpen warming up. If you ever needed to check out, he was going to jump in.
No. Listen, Jim, I know the difference between being hurt and injured, okay?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Show up and play. All right. Next round starts in a moment. MyBookie.ag brings you Monday Morning Live. We'll do it next Monday with Tom Luginbill. Tom, have a great week. Safe travels.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, buddy. Bye.